Welcome back, friends. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about astrology and astronomy and how they are separate now, but they used to not be separate, and they never really were separate in ancient times. I want to talk about what's good and what's bad about that. Okay, so to start off with, it's really interesting. My teacher Ernst Wilhelm first pointed this out, that the endings of words that end with logy, like astrology, biology, ecology, the logy suffix that goes at the end is Latin for the same word of logos, or logic. And so it's the logic, the how it really is, the order of it. The Latin word logos meant, is it a Latin word? It might not be a Latin word. It might be a Greek word. But the word logos means, yeah, because it's a really old word. The word logos means the ordering principle, the cosmic governing ordering principle. And actually in the Bible, when you read in the book of John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. That word wasn't, that was a Greek book originally, and so it was, in the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was God and everything. So this ordering principle, but it's really cool how it was the Word, because we know Om, the vibration of creation, creates everything, if you study yogic philosophy. And in the same way, the Bible says that God spoke and creation happened, the vibratory force of creation. And I'm going to go on tangents here, but isn't that also cool how the planet that is Vishnu, the sole author of creation, Mercury, is also the planet of speech. And it's a planet of manifestation. Wherever Mercury is in a chart or aspecting by Rashi aspect, he gives manifesting strength to that area of the chart as well. And we know how much speaking things helps them to manifest, for good or for bad. Which is why we don't want to be negative talkers too much, and why we want to think and speak positive things, speak good words to everyone. That's one of the basic points of every religion and every spiritual path, for that reason. Now, getting back to my topic, so astrology was originally about the logic, the as it really is, how it really is in affecting us. And nami, the suffix nami, actually relates to how it relates to people on earth. So actually these were supposed to be switched. Astronomy should really be called astrology, and astrology should really be called astronomy. And the reason they're switched was because astrology was the first one. Because initially, astrology was the most logical, how it is science, how it really is impacting the earth, or how it really is in the sky, I should say. The sun at noon is high in the sky. That was astrology. But then at some point there was a splitting, a school, the people who did all of this split, and those who did not want to do astrology had to choose the term astronomy just to have a different name, to distinguish themselves. But really, the nami prefix should really be given to what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is more relating to how it affects people. Just so you guys know. As an example of this, ecology is the study of life and how ecosystems work. Economy is the study of how the systems of people work and the money that we move around work. So that's why it's the economy, not the ecology. Physiology is how the body works, like the bone for the elbow is here, the bone for the collarbone is here, how anatomy works is physiology. Physiognomy is when you start to predict about people based on their features of their body, like I don't know, like having a round face might mean when someone's more lunar, so that might be a part of physiognomy, or however you say that word. But I'm not an expert on that. I haven't studied that. So these actually, the very etymological roots of these words prove that they were together. If anyone's ever disputing that, they were initially one married science together. And then as time went on, I imagine during the scientific revolution, during the Renaissance, slowly as time went on from that period, there was a split. I don't know exactly when it split or how it came to be that way. So how is this good and how is this bad? So it's bad because really, I mean, astrology, as Varahamihira said, one must be perfect in astronomy to be a good astrologer. So since the split, nowadays when I talk to astrologers, a lot of people don't know that much about astronomy. A lot of people who are doing astrology, and that's really unfortunate, because how can we be good at it when we're not perfect in our astronomy? So I wish I had taken more astronomy classes in high school or in college. I didn't. I didn't learn astronomy until I began to learn and study astrology. But I have gotten really into astronomy, and there really is a lot of truth to it, and it will make you better at astrology. It just will. Because it's all based on logic. Everything in astrology is just based on logic. So why is Mars the warrior planet? Because Mars is the planet with the most forceful velocity in space. So it has the most force and might to its energy. It's also red and fiery. It literally looks redder in the night sky. And so it does rule fire and red things and burning, and it will even make you redder in the part of the body where Mars is at in your chart, often you'll find. But yeah, Mars has a very like crooked, jagged, and forceful nature as he moves through the sky. Also, why one of his names is Vakri or Vakra. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it means crooked. And it's also a word for retrograde, because he also does have a very unique retrograde pattern as well that Mars does, but I don't want to get into that too much. But everything in astronomy, everything in astrology is astronomical. So Mars is like that because Mars is the forceful planet, because he's the most forceful planet in the sky. Venus is the most gentle, beautiful planet because it's the brightest and most beautiful star in the sky. And you can actually even see Venus in the daytime if you know where to look. You can Google that right now if you don't believe me, because there are pictures that people have taken of Venus during the daytime. That's how bright Venus is. That's why Venus is your wife, your car, your conveyance, beautiful things that make life easier, that make going down your path in life easier, more beautiful, more comforting. So everything in astrology is logical, but if we didn't know Venus was bright, then we're already starting with a terrible foundation. You know what I mean? So that's just something to consider. Saturn's light. You know, Saturn's light as a star is just this more like thinner, subtle, stellar looking light than considered to Venus's light, which is bright. You know, Venus is like wet, as described as being wet. Saturn is described as being dry. So it's just like this drier, cooler light. It's literally coming from further away too. I think if you study these things and actually look at the stars and look at the planets, this makes you a better astrologer. So this is one reason why it's bad, is because a lot of astrologers don't know astronomy. I actually once talked with an astrologer who, you know, was a Vedic astrologer. He was charging like at least $200 for readings and stuff, like a lot of us are, and he didn't actually know what the ecliptic was. And that really shocked me. The ecliptic, if you don't know, is the path that the planets move along. It's the path of the sun, the ascendant. And, you know, we need to know what these things are. We need to know what ecliptic is. We need to know what local space is to calculate planetary war correctly. We need to know how to calculate nakshatras. We need to not calculate nakshatras on the ecliptic, but equatorially. We need to know what these things are, first off. I didn't know what most of this stuff was until I studied with Ernst Wilhelm. He's really the only astrologer I've found in the public eye who's really broken all this stuff down. So check out some of his work if you're wanting to learn more of this as well. Or you could, there's other people who can tell you this stuff as well. Now, on another hand, it is good for us on another hand, because if it was still very organized and systematized, astrology would be given more credibility. But at the same time, as we know, organizations are one of the quickest way to corrupt something, you know? So that actually might be a good thing that there are no big major astrology universities in the world, because then they would have to have a board of directors that determines what is right and what is wrong. And then if they just don't determine it right, which oftentimes is the case in groups, brilliant people don't care about groups. The brilliant, most best astrologers just do astrology and, stay the hell away from the world, probably, if they're smart, right? And so, looking to institutions to validate you on things that border on spiritual subjects is kind of barking up the wrong tree. So that's something to consider as well. So it might be good on one hand that there isn't this organization, but then on the other hand, there's no standardization. So every astrologer is just doing whatever he wants to do at any time and using Lahiri Ayanamsha or Raman Ayanamsha or No Ayanamsha or Fagan Bradley Ayanamsha. And if we can't all agree on an Ayanamsha, then how can we be taken seriously as a science, as a subject that is scientific? Well, we really can't. And so, I have an Ayanamsha that I've found to be scientifically accurate. It's No Ayanamsha, the tropical zodiac. That's what I have found after years and years and years of testing and research and beating my head against desks and stuff and having nervous breakdowns. I didn't want it to be that way, but that's what I found. But anyway, now I'm at a point where I can scientifically test things out and I get good results. Now it's scientific for me. So that's sort of a thing where at this point in time, astrologers, it's no secret that we're not going to agree on everything because it's such a complicated thing. I mean, imagine trying to figure out chemistry in the first years of chemistry. You would have a lot of chemists disagreeing about things. It's just a super complicated subject. It's hard to sort everything out. So much more with astrology. So we need to keep those things in mind as we approach astrology, as we learn about it, as we read criticisms of it from astronomers who haven't actually looked into it. We need to know about these things. There would be a lot more astrology education going on if there were institutions, but again, sometimes it's better to have quality over quantity. So just like with YouTube videos, I'm really focused on making a quality video that is not just the same as every other. There's so many YouTube videos about, like, Aries and your love life and sun signs and all that, and so that's all good, but we want to have quality over quantity, right? So that might be the case now, whereas if we had universities for astrology, it might be very diluted. That's another way to put it. It already kind of is. In ancient times, it was very different, though. It was actually, in India, the government would actually pay the astrologers and stuff. And then there are records in ancient China where, the astrologers, or in other parts of Asia, I think, too, would only be paid if they were right, or if they would only be supported if they were continuing to predict correctly. Same with Chinese medicine, from what I've read. They only got to be paid if their patients were in good health, which is a good attitude. Our Western model should probably take that into consideration. Now it's a little different, at least here in America, where the government and the culture is very, very unsupportive of astrology. So you have to have that sort of karma to be born as an American doing Vedic astrology in America. You have to be born with an interesting little bit of karma, because it's saying that you're going to have to sort of separate from your own culture that you're born into. You'll see that a lot in the charts of American astrologers, Vedic astrologers especially. Okay, cool. So that's really all I wanted to say about astronomy and astrology. I love astronomy, I really do, and I don't try to take it, sometimes I feel like I might take it a little personally, but I try not to when it comes to people, big name astronomers bashing astrology when they really just haven't looked into it. It's incredibly scientific, and really all the different criticisms of it that they usually give, like Carl Sagan and people have given, they're actually not real criticisms if he did study it, but he didn't, and that's okay. I love Sagan anyway. I love Carl Sagan, But yeah, I hope this helps fill you guys in a little bit about the differences and the good and bad sides of astrology being divorced from astronomy at this current time in our culture. Thank you.